All right. Hello there, you guys, and welcome to the first ever Sip and Share. And go figure, the one night that I actually need something that I have to do at 8 o'clock, somebody literally screamed bloody murder for 10 plus minutes. I don't know. And I was gonna actually try and look presentable and this is real life. Can't make this up. This is this is legit how it goes. So, anyways, I don't know what you're drinking tonight. I'm having water, but I wish, as the way that this evening is starting out, that it was something different. So, anyways, with that sort of introduction, hello and welcome. My name is Kylie. I'm super excited that you are here to just learn more about the coaching opportunity. And I'm really excited to share with you my story and just kind of the journey, because sometimes when you hop in at chapter 10, it's kind of hard to think back to what actually happened in the beginning if you weren't there for it and didn't see that whole process go through. So what I want to start off with is just basically telling you my story a little bit for those of you that don't know, didn't hear it, or haven't heard it, all those good things. But I actually started with Beachbody it was about 4.5 years ago. So it was April or May of 2015. I just had my first daughter and I was 6 months postpartum. And I actually was a group fitness instructor. I was a full-time teacher. I was married, coached extracurriculars, all the things, worked at the local gym. But I was really struggling with finding the time to go to the gym because I was teaching my classes 2 to 3 a week. It just wasn't enough. And I felt guilty for being at the gym. I felt guilty for not being home, all those kind of things. So I needed something different. And so my coach reached out, and summer was coming, and she said something about home workouts and a nutrition plan, a guide. And I was just sold. Like the home workouts were a perk, but when she talked about the nutrition plan and having kind of that stable structure to follow when it came to nutrition, I, I I was hooked, and because that's what I needed. Like the working out part wasn't so much of a struggle for me; it was the nutrition piece. And so I was probably her easiest sign up ever because I just was like, which program should I start with? I literally signed up within 30 minutes of her and I first starting to talk, just because I just felt something in my gut that was like, this is it. Like every other thing I had tried was, drink a tablespoon of this every day for 30 days. And everything else was just like a quick fix. It wasn't a change in my lifestyle. And after having kids, I just knew that that was something I needed. I couldn't skate by on, doing really well Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then having a 4-day weekend and getting back after it on Monday. So I started with the 21-day fix. On Memorial Day was my first day, actually. I went 3 weeks, and I followed the plan to a T. I did every single workout. I did not skip, so I worked out 21 days in a row, and I followed the meal plan to a T. I filled every container. I did not have any cheats. I just committed for 3 weeks, and I lost 10 pounds and 10 inches. And more importantly for me, I started to feel like myself again. After having a baby and your first baby and going back to work and just all the things, I remember just looking in the mirror and putting on clothes and just not feeling like how I felt before. I felt low energy. I felt overweight. I felt bleh. Like that's just how I felt. And after that 3 weeks of doing something for me, I started to feel like myself again. And I felt, but a new me, like it just different. It was great. And so at that point it was June, and my coach obviously was like, hey, you should think about coaching. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I just this and I hate saying this because that's what everybody tells me is what I wanted at the time was truly just to focus on myself. Like I have a tendency to just jump into things, and I'm like, yeah, obviously I signed up within 30 minutes. I just go for it. But I was like, oh, like I just really need this for me. I don't know if I want to help other people. I just need it for me. And so she asked me 2 or 3 more times every time I finished a round of the 21-day fix. She's like, are you sure? Like, are you sure you don't want to learn more about coaching? She put me in a sneak peek, and I didn't really, I watched a few things, but I was just still kind of. And so about a month later, she was at the summit event, which is the year long or the yearly conference. And I saw her having fun with her husband, with all these other coaches, doing live workouts, meeting the trainers, all these cool things. And I'm like, why am I not doing that? Like, that was a trigger for me. I saw she was doing everything I was doing, but she was getting to do all the fun stuff that came with like all the perks. And so I stalked her social media as soon as she got home and spent the night with her babies. I messaged her the next morning. I'm like, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to coach. I did my coming out post and I just went for it. I didn't know how to post on social media. I didn't know the compensation plan. I didn't know how to sign somebody up. I just opened up and shared my story and learned along the way of people wanting information and wondering what I was doing and answering their questions. And it all honestly just led from my heart. And I think that's why I'm still doing this 4.5 years later. And I still, no matter how many people have come and gone, no matter how many babies, no matter how many life events, I still continue to show up because I remember that moment when I led from my heart and just truly loved the programs, the products, the results, the community, all of those aspects. And that's what I did with everybody else. I just shared that. And obviously along the way, I've learned like, oh, I own a business and oh, I have to learn how to engagement on social media and what to post and what people do want to hear and don't want to hear and how to reach out and invite people and talk to them. I've had to learn that along the way, and that's still a process and still learning it. But at the end of the day, it still comes from my life was changed, not only physically in the beginning, emotionally, relationship-wise, financially, etc. down the road. But it started with that initial, that physical transformation and then wanting other women to experience that in whatever capacity that meant for them. So I started coaching in July of 2015. Just kind of fast forward, just kept coaching, brought on challengers, brought on other coaches, other people that wanted to work the business, all from my challenge groups. I very rarely will have somebody just come in and be like, I want to work the business, because I think I attract people that are like me, that come in and see a transformation, fall in love with the groups and the programs and the products, and then they decide that they want to pay that forward too. So kind of kept growing, just kept selling. I was teaching at the time as well, and I was commuting. So I was honestly working my business a lot in the cracks. And this is where I really want to hit hard. And I might talk about this later on this week too. But it's really easy to look and say, well, yeah, you're home all the time. Like, it's easy for you to work and do all these things. And yes, but no. And in the beginning, I was just so passionate about the business, and it was so intriguing to me. And I loved doing it that I was getting up earlier. And I was spending time in my classroom during lunch because I didn't need the negativity in the teacher's lounge. I just wanted to listen to a call. And so I started working literally in the cracks of my day and making it work. And while we were watching TV absentmindedly, like doing a few things on my phone and so on. And so continued to that, so that was 15, ended up in the spring of 2016 getting pregnant with my son, which was totally fine. It just took a different spin on coaching. Went through that summer, and then we kind of hit a point with my husband and with his mental health and things that he was struggling with, that after my son was born, I really felt like I was at a crossroads, and like I couldn't do all of the things that I had to do and do them all justice and in the order and that they needed to be. And so it kind of came down to either I just take a step back with coaching and just really do it super part-time, or I pursue coaching more full-time and walk away from the classroom. And it was actually my husband that said, you're way more passionate about coaching. You enjoy it way more. You complain about it a lot less than you do teaching. He's like, I think if you want to leave teaching, you can. And at that point, I was just barely matching my teaching salary. So when I left teaching, we went from having like 2.5 to 3/4 incomes down to like 1.5, 1 3/4. So it took some adjusting. It took some tweaking in that sense. But I took that long, almost a year, to completely go all in the cracks, doing the behaviors, just sharing my story, leading from the heart, and all of those things to grow my income, right? And so then at that point, had a new baby, left teaching, had summer, then ended up in the fall of 2017 getting pregnant with her. So that was kind of a shock and surprise, but it was another step forward in my coaching. And so this is where I want to plug in. So many times I hear people say, because this was kind of where I was too. I was like, well, how can I coach other people when I'm not at my goal weight or I'm not where I should be? And I hear this all the time, and I so get that, and that's a confidence thing. But I can tell you from coaching through 2 pregnancies and 2 3-ish postpartum journeys that when you start at the bottom and you just share all the way while you're working your way to the top, that is so much more relatable than being in the best shape of your life and trying to tell people, hey, this was where I started, but here I am, like, let me help you get there. When you open up and you share when you're at the ground floor and you're working your way up, people relate to that. And through my postpartum journeys, both of those has when my business has completely exploded, was when I was starting at ground zero and working my way up. So if you're sitting here and you're watching, listening to the recording, and you're like, oh, well, like I have 10 more pounds to go. And then, by this summer I should be ready. Scratch that. That's confidence. That's confidence. We can work on that. People relate so much more when they see you having those struggles too. And anytime that I open up and share about a struggle or post about a struggle, it gets so much more engagement and messages and things than like, hey, I ate perfectly perfect for 3 days and nobody cares. They want to see the struggles and they want to see that. So just keep moving forward through that. So 3 babies, working the business in the cracks, and to this point where I honestly don't regret any of it. It's been a transition and to go from teaching and coaching in the cracks to coaching full time and just learning different things along the way. But physically made a difference, financially has made a difference, and just being able to rely on the coaching income and from that side of it. And that just came from continuing to share, continuing to invite people along on the journey, and bringing them with. So one of the main reasons, though, that I got started with coaching was because prior to having kids, I had always had a part-time job. Like I was a teacher, had athletic coaching, group fitness, all that kind of stuff. I always had some sort of side stream of income, but I wanted something where I didn't have to leave the house. I couldn't imagine being gone longer. And so I just wanted something where I could pull up my phone, spend 30 minutes on it, invite a few people, and just make an income from home and from my couch and during nap time, and for sharing my workouts and just sharing my life and my journey. So that was really what got me started, and it just continued to move forward that way. So what we do as coaches, how it works. I'm not going to go into, I thought you were just maybe going to chill, but that's not the case, is it? So as coaches, some of what we call them is our vital behaviors. And so just like any job, you think about any job, the things that you have to do to keep your job, to keep your boss happy, your vital functions, your vital bodily functions, all those things to keep you alive. There are activities that we do on a daily basis, and one of them is sharing your story. So people that are like, oh, I just don't want to post on social media. Okay, but that's part of it, right? That's part of opening up, sharing your story, and the journey. And for me, I how memories pop up on Facebook, and so I see all of my memories from when I first started coaching, and a lot of them, all I posted was my workout, what I ate, and something from my personal development, something I read that day. For the first 3-4 months, that's all I posted. And then it slowly transitions into, well, people relate to me because I'm a mom, or people relate to me because I was a teacher. All these different things that you start branching out and talking about more and more, and different stages and changes in your life. I, in the beginning, did not post as much about faith and about Bible verses and my devotions in the beginning because I didn't do that stuff as much as in the beginning. And now it's a bigger part of what I do, so I share that more, and people are starting to relate to me more with that. One of the biggest things I think people relate to me the most with is nutrition. And so even though it's like I'd love to be known as the girl that is super fit and works out all the time, that's not what I'm known for. I'm known more for my nutrition and when I spend time talking about that and focusing on that, I get a lot more attraction and a lot more people that come to me because that's what I'm known for, right? And so eventually you just start talking about your journey. So whether that's the fitness, the nutrition, the what you're reading, those kind of things. I'm sorry. I'm like, she's really distracting me. I was like all hyped to do this call, you guys, and then like things, life, mom life. Okay. So yeah, but posting, sharing your story on social media, that's one of the foundations, the things that you have to do. And we talk about it being like this, we talk about it, did you just realize you're up on the screen? Being like your storefront, being your sense of a brick and mortar business, their advertising type of thing. So sharing your story, posting on social media, that's one thing that has to be done for you to be successful and to keep going. Another thing is reading personal development. So some of you that are in the group right now, we're starting like doing a book club together. That's something that for me, I used to read all the time and then never did. Since coaching, I wish I knew how many books I've read since I started coaching. I just started keeping track July of last year, actually, like how many I've been reading. But it's crazy. And I've started doing Audible more, so like listening to books. But for years, my husband would always be like, you're always reading. I was always quoting like authors and things I read. And finally, like a couple months ago, he started listening to like videos, and now he's doing that. Like he doesn't read, he just listens to stuff all the time. But I'm like, do you see why now? Like I was reading all the time and I was filling my head with positivity because there's a lot of negative people out there. There's a lot of negative, just everything, everywhere. I mean, did you get on social media today and see 1,000 million opinions about the halftime show last night? Like, oh, like it's just, there's so much negativity out there. And so the 30 minutes that I can spend every morning just reading something positive, like that's the biggest blessing in itself from coaching, has just been like the mindset switch to just focus on me trying to be the best person I can be from reading, just making that a vital behavior, something that I do every single day. So that's something that I didn't really believe in the beginning, but that's one thing, 10 pages a day, 15 minutes a day of just reading a book that allows you to just think out. I just like to say, like, makes you think outside your four walls. Like it makes you think bigger than who you are and just kind of grow yourself as a person. And so there's so many people that have joined the book club that we're doing in February that I'm so excited that so many people are like, yeah, I want to read that book. And I read this book in the fall and it was really, really good. And so just the fact that there's a handful of women that want to just commit to read a book and to better themselves on the inside from doing that, like that's huge. So the personal development, posting on social media, and then inviting is another one as well too. And again, we're going to talk more about this week and in the beginning with coaching and training and things, but inviting is huge. And it's a vital behavior, but it's so crucial. And I think for new coaches, this is a piece that really misses and takes a while to get used to. But again, it comes down to that confidence, and you're reading the personal development and you're building that confidence, and it becomes a little bit easier over time, just like a muscle. But reaching out and inviting people to do it with you. And this can come in many ways. This can come in your posts, like from sharing your journey, sharing your transformation, like sharing your results, just the little things. Like somebody was just telling me the other day that they could get one of their rings on their finger that they couldn't get before. Something like that, somebody's going to relate to that. Somebody's going to, another time I had somebody say they could finally wrap their towel around them when they couldn't do that before. So it doesn't just have to be like, oh my gosh, like now I look good in my swimsuit. There's so many other ways to talk about your story and your journey. But that's a form of inviting too, is sharing that story so other people can see themselves in that. And then also there's the behind the scenes with the messaging and like sending people invites and who's liking your posts and who's viewing your stories. And I know some of you might be sitting there like, oh my gosh, like, but think about this. If I hadn't messaged you, or if I hadn't posted what I posted and you saw it and you're like, hey, I want to jump into that, or I know I've been emailing a lot. If I hadn't emailed you and invited you, like, would you be where you are right now? Would you be listening to this call? Would you be, that's what I had to tell myself all the time in the beginning. And I had to tell myself constantly too, because I was the person that my coach, like, you wouldn't think she would invite me because I was a group fitness instructor. I went to the gym. I was like super, super busy. I was that person that she probably wouldn't, I mean, she probably had to like make herself invite, right? But I tell myself that all the time. Like if my coach hadn't reached out to me, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And so that's part of just the process and part of, so think about like a task that you have to do at work that maybe isn't your favorite, but you have to do it anyways, kind of that type of thing. And then the fourth one is just plugging into the accountability groups and the challenge group and helping your customers and checking in with them and just engaging with the group. And to me, that's the fun part, is to be able to jump in and help the people that want your help. And don't think for a minute that, remember, 4.5 years. So the emailing and all that stuff, when I first started out, I had 5 customers and I literally would just every Monday send them a message. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, how are you doing? And just checking in with them that way. And so it's as simple as that. It's as simple as tagging them and posting the challenge group. And by the way, you are more than welcome to jump into the groups that we already have going. Sometimes people think they have to start their own group. Not the case. You can jump in with us and just plug in your customers and make sure that they are seeing the content and seeing the posts, and then also being your best challenger too, and showing up and doing all those things as well too. Okay, so last thing I wanted to touch on is some of like why right now, a few points of why right now I think is the best time to jump in and start coaching. Is one, it's still the new year. It's February 3rd. It's still very, very new in the year. And even if everybody you know joined the gym and committed and started doing that, there's still a good chance that if you present them with an opportunity like this, they might say, yeah, the gym, it's cold, it stinks, we got more snow coming, like I'd like to work out at home type of thing. So it's still the new year. It's still a lot of people wanting to make some commitments, wanting to make some changes. It's the best time of year to start not only committing yourself and having that accountability for yourself, but the best time to connect with people and kind of bring them along the journey with you. Also, and this was why I got really excited for this call, and you can't tell because she's super distracting, but I thought about this weekend. We have a new program coming out in like the end of March, beginning of April, and it's probably the program that I'm the most excited about ever. And so now is the perfect time to start creating the foundation for your business, to start creating the habits of those vital behaviors, because anytime a program launches, it's huge. It is so huge. Think about like anytime a new product comes out from whatever, it's always huge. And so a new program in the spring, it's a big deal. And so if you can start kind of layering the foundation, and even if you're like, gosh, I'm just getting started, like I think I maybe just want to start like posting about my workout. If you start now and just commit to dropping a little seed every day about what it is you're doing, by the time March and April rolls around, you could steadily be having that credibility of posting and that credibility of having some people that are watching what you're doing and being able to invite them into that new program, into that new group, into that new wave. And so what we're going to do is, I'm going to start it tomorrow, but what we're going to do is do like kind of a 5-day sneak peek, not a sneak peek, but like a trial run at coaching. So I have a few days lined up of just some different of those vital activities for you to try and to see if after 5 days of just kind of testing the waters, if you think that's something that you could do and that you would interest you and that you would benefit from. So I'm gonna share more about that tomorrow because oh my gosh, girlfriend. Oh, yeah. I'm not joking. Like when she would not lay down, I'm like, I literally can't make this stuff up. I don't know. Anyways, so we're going to do like a trial run, like a test run of what coaching is to kind of give you a good idea if this is something that you could benefit from. And also in this group, I'm going to share a little bit more about the financial side of it, share some other transformations so you can hear from other coaches too, and just kind of give you a well-rounded kind of view of it. Tonight, I just really wanted to get you to hear from me, and just a little bit more about, like, on a daily basis, what it is that I do. And so obviously, like, I wake up and I do my personal development. If you watch my stories at all, like, I literally tell you every day for the most part what it is I do. But I get up and I read and I grow my mind first. And I've learned that as long as I can get that 45 minutes done to myself, no matter what else happens, I'm just in that much more of a better mood. I'm that much more ahead of the game. I can deal with my kids being around when I work out, but when I'm doing that reading and that journaling, like, that's truly my time that I just need for myself. But I get up and I read and I grow my mind and I just really focus on setting myself up for success for the day, whatever it brings, whatever that is. Do my workout, I share my workout, I share the clips, I talk about it a little bit, and then I try to have a post. And sometimes it's about maybe something I realized in my workout, or it's about something that happened during the night, or just something motivational that speaks to me, and I just share that. Sometimes I try to plan out what I'm going to post, and sometimes I just let it flow, like whatever hits me, whatever I think about. And then my day, during the day, like, it looks different, but from the coaching standpoint, I will invite. I sit down and I invite, and I reach out to people who liked my stories, liked my posts, watched stories, that type of thing. And then I follow up with people that have been interested. And so those are the two main activities that I really focus on, is inviting and then following up with people, and also something we call expanding. So adding new friends on Facebook, engaging with new friends on Facebook, trying to find more followers on Instagram, that type of thing. So those are the three behaviors that I really try to focus on in those cracks in my day that I have. And then usually at night, that's when I try to check in with my challenge group, see how everybody's doing, making sure that I checked in, see if there's any questions anybody has or any comments, type of thing. So I still try to squeeze that activity in at some point, because that was a vital behavior, and that is really important as well too. So in this little 5-day sneak peek look into trial run of coaching, those are some of the things that we're going to have you do. And a lot of it is just really like doing the workout and sharing it and getting you used to that, because they all go hand in hand. But if you're sitting here thinking like, oh my gosh, like I do want to coach, like I think that's for me, but you're scared to post, that's something that we got to overcome right away. And you could sit and you could invite, no, you could sit and invite and you could do all those other activities, but if you're not going to post, it's going to be a struggle. And that's just part of, I'll never forget my coach. One of the first things she said to me was, at that time I had to post like 4 or 5 times a day. She's like, don't worry, like it'll just become natural. And I was like, natural to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, I got to post. Now it's like, it is natural. Like I don't even have to think about it. Like my food, like I'm just constantly taking pictures and not even thinking twice about, and even my husband too, like he'll be like, that's a good background. Do you want a picture? Or like, do you need me to take a picture of you holding your food? Like, I don't even have to ask him so much anymore. Or he doesn't complain as much when I ask him anymore, I guess. But it does come naturally. But it's just like your nutrition, your workouts, the changing in the routines, like all those vital behaviors for coaching all intertwine with that as well too. And it doesn't just happen overnight. It's those little pieces in between too. Okay. So the last thing I wanted to mention, and because I'm almost out of time, I really wanted to keep this to 30 minutes, was another reason that jumping in and starting right now is there are a couple different trips and a couple different incentives coming up in the next 6 months that you as a coach, starting now and just kind of doing some of the vital behaviors and hitting some of the benchmarks, you can qualify to join in those groups or trips, and earning some of like your tickets paid for and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there too, that some of the things that the trips and the events that you've maybe seen me traveling to or talking about, like Summit, you starting off coaching and hitting some of those benchmarks can help you qualify for some of those events too. So that might be another reason to maybe just start planting those seeds, and moving forward from there. So totally envision this being way more intense and not so, but hey, at least you got some cuteness out of it, right? So, all right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upload this recording, and then if you have any questions, I should have checked the chat, but if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. When I email the recording out, I am going to drop the link for that Facebook group. Tomorrow, Tuesday, the first day we're going to do is just introductions. So if you don't get in there quite right away tomorrow, that's fine. But we'll do like Wednesday will be the first action where we'll kind of talk about like, hey, go and do this, and go from there. So with this test run, I'm really excited about it because there's no commitment. Like if you're sitting here like, oh, like, if you go and you just post one thing, sometimes it's just that initial ripping off the Band-Aid, and seeing that other people support you and are excited for you and genuinely like want the best for you. Sometimes just doing those first few initial things can really help you decide either way. And coaching isn't for everybody. If that's one thing I've learned too over these last 4.5 years, like it's not for everybody. I think it's amazing because it's literally changed every area of my life. But I know that some people, it's not for them, and that's okay, right? We still love you, and we still want you to be in the challenge groups and to change your life and to do all the things on your time where it comes from, right? But I'm excited for these couple days for you to really test the waters and see if you're ready confidence-wise, or if you're like, oh, I'm still really struggling. Perfect. Let's focus on your journey and let's get you reading a good book and see where it goes from there. Okay? All right. So if you have questions, definitely email them to me or message them to me. I will get the recording up. I will get that group rolling, and pray that somebody goes to bed because I might literally lose it. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for hopping on, listening to the recording. I'm super excited to see where this journey takes us, and I will talk to you guys later.